I'm the Director of Cultivation here at Leafline Labs. I'm in charge of all of the cultivation and processing of all of the plant material that becomes our medication for our patients in Minnesota. I came from what I would call the traditional horticulture background. I received a Bachelor in Science from University of Wisconsin-Madison. The LED, I think, is really interesting from the standpoint of there's not that radiant heat that you get off those HPS. So you're not trying with your temperature controls of your ambient room temperature, you're not trying to fight this heat coming off the HPS. And because this was a purpose-built building, we have high ceilings because there's somewhere for the heat to go. And that was a purposeful part of the design. But with the LEDs, that did also give us the height to be able to do a multi-level cultivation racking system with even being able to have some ceiling height above that. What I've noticed with the LEDs and from talking to other cultivators and suppliers, the radiant heat is less, which means less evaporation, which also means we have to water less. You're not trying to compensate for the heat coming off the HPS by just putting more water on, because we're watering more because there's more of that just evaporation that's happening. Sure. And then that also means less humidity in the room because less water in, less water out.
While you were vetting different mobile vertical racking solutions, what were some of the criteria that you were looking for when you were trying to come up with that selection?
We were ready to go with a different mobile vertical racking system supplier, and then we found out that they were unable to meet our lead times. So we actually ended up calling Pipp 4 weeks before we needed the racking system up and running, and Pipp Horticulture was able to meet that very short lead time, which I found really impressive. That's when we decided to call Pipp Horticulture and
see what's possible.
Yeah.
And then
and I was really impressed by the response. The designs were completed probably that same day, maybe the next day, and then I think by the end of that week we were, set, signed, and ready to go for the install, 3 to 4 weeks later.
Nice. So Pipp was able to meet that deadline with kind of a last-minute call.
Absolutely.
No, that's great.
They were.
We always love to hear that.
Yeah, it was really great. And then the install was great too. The install took 3 days. I remember we had a construction company kind of working on our HVAC system and installing our lighting. They were really impressed that went up in 3 days. We were really impressed with Pipp as how well they work together with our electricians and with our construction team.
So Pipp Horticulture offers a plastic ABS tray, a corrugated metal tray, and a 16-gauge aluminum tray under the Greenhouse Industries kind of brand. So you had some decisions to make, and what led you to go with the 16-gauge aluminum Greenhouse tray?
Yeah, we decided to go with that tray for, honestly, ease of cleaning and ease of workability. Like any responsible cannabis cultivation operation, cleaning is just as important as growing the plants, because your plants won't succeed unless you have a clean, nice growing environment. Agreed, right?
Yeah. That tray is a tray that's going to be with you for a long journey. With these plastic trays from traditional hydroponic stores, if you will, I was throwing them out every year or two, and they were cracked, and like you mentioned earlier, there was just a lot of cleaning. And at scale, you start to measure these seconds, and these seconds turn very quickly into human hours and high labor costs, and can also slow down how much time it takes you to turn over a room.
Right.
So I think one of our goals with that tray was to really make sure that we gave you a 10+ year product.
Even just from the 4 months, I can already see the value. Let's figure out the best way to do things. So, getting all of those efficiencies into place and getting all of the correct equipment and investing in that early on is really important.
Yeah, it goes back to adaptability, right?
Absolutely.
So what is the experience like with this new mobile vertical racking system?
So far it's been really great. All of my cultivators are kind of clamoring to work in that room. They say, these plants really need pruning. I'm like, all right, calm down.
Yeah, everyone's trying to get in there.
I was like, we'll get you in there. We have to prioritize some other things today, but yeah. So what's really impressive is right when you walk in the room, it's different than our traditional single level under HPS. It's impressive because of the height. It's impressive because of the lighting. It's that full spectrum lighting, so it doesn't have that orangey feel. And then even just seeing plants growing on multi-levels. Multi-level is impressive. You can't walk in there and not be, you know,
have some kind of a emotional
have this reaction
right?
of wow. And so many people haven't seen systems like this. I've showed plenty of people Pipp's videos already as, you know, example of like, oh, this is what our room is going to look like. I was like, wow, that's a very cool system and is very new, cutting edge. It's maximizing your space. It's increasing your canopy. The ease of moving those racks is fantastic. It's almost like fun.
Talk to me a little bit about some of the canopy metric changes going from a single level HPS to a multi-level LED approach.
By going to the multi-level LED, we've increased our canopy in that room by 140%, which I think is very impressive. And that's also another reason why it's so striking when you walk in there. Because you can go into one of our rooms that's still single level HPS, and it's still impressive and gorgeous, and I'm very proud of what we're doing. You know, I don't want to play that down, but as we're trying out this multi-level vertical racking system, it's when you go and see, you're like, that's a lot of plants. The plants, they're stout and gorgeous and look healthy and beautiful. I mean, I've really been impressed growing under these LED lights.
Nice.
The plan is to be transitioning all of our rooms
that's exciting.
to the Pipp mobile racking system. In addition to working with the great sales team and support team at Pipp has also been the expertise in cannabis and in horticulture that Pipp Horticulture can provide to all the growers that are using these mobile racking system. And to be able to, you know, pick someone's brain who's been here before